Hi everyone, welcome to another Procreate tutorial. In today's video, we will be drawing this cute fuzzy bunny. If you are new here, I mainly post Procreate tutorials, so if that is something you're interested in, go ahead and subscribe. Otherwise, before we get started, the only thing that you will need to do is download the color palette. I have it linked in the description below. It's totally free to download. Just open up the file that downloads and it'll automatically pop into Procreate, so that you can use the same colors as you follow along with the video today. So take a second to go and grab that and then come back and we will get started. First things first, we will go over our canvas dimensions. They are 10 inches by 10 inches at 300 dpi or 3000 by 3000 pixels. The color profile that I'm on is the second one on the RGB list. And for our layers today, by the end of the video, we've used about 10 layers, so make sure you have that many available by checking here. And if you do not, you can always lower your DPI here to get more layers. This is our color palette today. So we will just go ahead and jump right into it. The first thing that we'll do is set our background color. So let's go to our layer menu, click on this background color layer, and click on the first color on the color palette. Next, we will be on layer 1. We will grab the second color on the color palette on the top row, and we will click our selection tool, set it to rectangle with color fill turned on, and we are just going to essentially make some tree-like shapes in the background. They'll be really blurry and far away looking, but we are going to use this to do it. So I'm just going to start on the right side here and make a rectangle going all the way from top to bottom and going off the right side of the screen. Then I'll move over and maybe make a little skinny one there. Go over again, maybe make a thicker one. Maybe a nice medium one. Another skinny one and another one going off the screen. So just do that all the way across, going from top to bottom off the edge of each one so it fills the entire screen. Then I'm just going to click this selection button to turn it off. Click on my wand tool, click Gaussian Blur, and we are going to slide this up to maybe just 10% to make them kind of blurry so they just kind of fade into the background. And that is kind of it for the whole little background layer, and we'll just jump right ahead and start working on our bunny. So let's go to our layer menu, add a new layer, grab the first color on the second row of our color palette, and let's go to our monoline brush under the calligraphy tab. We will set that to 50 to 60%. And the first thing that I'm going to do is just draw a perfect circle. So I'm going to draw a circular shape, hold it down, touch my finger to the screen to make it a perfect circle, maybe about this big, and then go ahead and fill that in. Click the arrow tool, make sure that snapping is turned on in the bottom left, and I'm just going to drag this to the center of the screen, a little bit low towards the bottom, maybe about right there. Then while I'm here, I'm going to click on warp instead of uniform, and we are just going to kind of try to make some little cheek-like areas, make the face a little less of a perfect circle. So I'm going to start with this top right one here on the very edge, kind of drag it in a little bit. I'm going to grab this one down here and drag it out a little bit and maybe up too. Kind of do that a couple times till we get like a nice little cheek shape going, and then do the same thing to the other side. Kind of like that. And let's kind of make the top and bottom a little further apart as well, the top, middle, and bottom, middle. So now when I switch back to uniform and turn my selection off, this is the shape that we have. And then let's go ahead and grab the arrow tool again. Make sure uniform's turned on now, and let's grab this green bar at the top and rotate it to the right just a little bit so that our left cheek is higher than our right cheek and the top and bottom of the heads are at a slight angle like this. Next, let's go to our layer menu, add a new layer and drag it below our head layer. We are going to draw our ears on this layer. Same color, same monoline brush. And we will first draw this right ear, and it is just going to start behind the head here on the top right side. And draw a curved line going like this, hold it down. Click Edit Shape if you need to adjust the size or, curve of it. But something just about like that, and then start at the tip here and draw another curved line going back towards the head. Hold it down again and click Edit Shape again if you need to make them match up at the top better, or adjust the angle again. Let's grab our pen tool again and kind of connect it at the bottom here so that we can fill it in. On the same layer, we'll draw the other ear. And so we'll start on this top left side, and it's tilted a little, so it's not going to go out at the same angle. It's going to go a little more up. So I will just start behind its head right here, and then draw the curved line going up and out like this. Again, edit shape if necessary to kind of adjust the curve a little bit. And then just to make the ears a little bit different, I will start at the tip and make kind of a different wavy line like this. And then I will connect them at the bottom and fill it in. And now this one ended up to be way too small, but I like the shape of it. So I'm going to grab my selection tool, set it to freehand, turn off color fill, and just grab this ear, select around it, click the arrow tool, and we can make some adjustments to it. To make it a little bit bigger so that it kind of matches better with our other one. You can also, if you need to, change the size of this one as well, maybe downsize it a little bit so that they look pretty similar. So make any other adjustments that you need to get your picture looking the way you would like. You can change the size of the head if you need to, change the size of the ears to kind of get them to match up nicely. So next we're going to go ahead and make all the fuzziness and highlights and shadows and stuff on all of our shapes. We'll start with the head, so go to your layer menu and find that layer, and we are just going to draw it right on the same layer here. So let's go ahead and grab the second color on the second row. This is a little bit lighter pink. We are going to, for all of this, use the short hairbrush under the materials category. And I am going to change the size here and there, but let's start with it at maybe like 60%. And we are just going to kind of draw this just kind of all over the center of its face in like vertical and curved motions, just to add a little bit of highlights and stuff and texture. I went light at first, and then you can kind of push down a little bit harder, but just kind of focus in on certain areas to really add some highlights, maybe more so on the sides like this, kind of following the shape of your head. Then let's grab the fourth color on the second row, this darker pink, and we will just lightly go in maybe on the very edges here and kind of add some of this darker color in the same motion, and maybe just a few little sections of it in the middle of his face as well. Again, pushing very lightly right now, just to kind of add some variation there. And then let's drop the size to just maybe like 40%. And we are now going to kind of go around the edge to add some fuzziness to it. So at the top, I'll kind of go in like an up and down motion, very lightly again in little sections. And then when we start getting to the sides, we'll kind of start going in like a downward motion. I mean, at a slight angle, depending on what side you're on. Kind of like this. And then same thing, the bottom will kind of go in like a downward angular motion, but also just kind of straight down sometimes when we get to the very bottom. something like this all the way around to add some nice fuzziness. And then we will grab the second color on the second row again, this lighter one, and we will go in and add some of this as well, following that same kind of pattern. And again, very lightly, make sure to add a good amount so that it's not super, super dark all the way around. But we do want to see some of the dark stuff that we made before peeking through here and there. And then we can even kind of go back in on the inside and kind of go over in our like circular motions again, just to really blend out these edges so it's not such a harsh, like first it's smooth and then boom, it's like furry. So just to kind of blend out a little bit. Then let's grab this third color on the second row, this brighter color, and we'll just add a few very small sections of that as well, just for a little bit more variation, but not quite as much as we did before. So just a few quick sections of the really bright white, and then we can even go in and lightly add some of this to our head as well in our more swooping motions, just to add a little bit more highlight. So now it should look something like this. And then we'll essentially do the same thing to the ears, except that we will add the dark part in the middle of the ears. But let's go ahead and get started on that. So we'll go to our layer menu, go to our ear layer here now. And let's go back first with our second color on the second row. Up our size to maybe 50 to 60%. And we will just kind of first follow the motion of the ears, more so on the outside parts. And we'll leave this kind of middle area more blank, where we'll add the dark part. So then again, let's just do this on both. About like that. Then let's go in with our fourth color on the second row, and we'll lightly focus this more so in the middle. Kind of again following that shape so it kind of curves out. And then on this side, we'll kind of follow the kind of stranger shape that we made. Like that. And then we will switch to our fifth color on the second row, our really dark color, and we will focus that on the inside of our ears again. If you need to change your brush size at all, if this is like too big for you to work with, feel free to do so. But we just kind of want something like this on each side. And now we'll start with the fuzziness around the edges. So let's again first start with our fourth color on the second row, the slightly darker pink. Drop our size to maybe 40%. And we'll just again kind of follow the shape of the ear. So we'll kind of go outward and towards the tip of the ear on this side. And then same thing on this side, kind of outwards towards the tip. You know, we don't want them to be like perpendicular to our ears so they're sticking straight out. We kind of want them to go in that general direction towards the top of our ear. And let that a nice little fuzzy bit on the end in kind of a pokey motion to kind of get that point there. And then let's do the same thing on the other side. And then let's go back in with the second color on the second row and do the same thing. And again, if you need to do any more of the swooping motion on the inside to kind of, you know, maybe your dark color got into it too much and you can't see much of it anymore, you can totally just go back in and do some more. And if your dark stuff got too dark even, you can kind of add in a little bit more of this lighter color to kind of blend it out a little bit better. And then again, let's grab the third color on the second row to add some really bright white to some pieces, just for a little bit more variety and definition. And then go through and just make any adjustments. I'm going to go back in with this second color on the second row because I left a little bit too much of this dark showing and it's kind of bugging me. So now your picture should look something like this. So next we're going to add the face to our bunny and the cheeks. So we are going to use Symmetry to do this. So let's add a new layer above all of our layers and go to our gear icon. Under the canvas section, click to turn on the drawing guide and then click edit drawing guide. And then you'll have to click this Symmetry button on the far right and you should get a vertical line. If you do not, you might need to select vertical under the options menu and then go ahead and click done. And it doesn't matter that it's not quite in the middle of our face. We could have moved it in the last step, but we will just draw the face and then we'll place it onto our bunny because we'll have to angle it a little bit too to match his head. So kind of wherever your line ended up, let's just go with that. So now we are going to go to our layer menu, make sure this layer says assisted underneath it. If it does not, you can click on it and turn on drawing assist. And let's grab our fifth color on the last row, this black. And then we will grab the dry ink brush under the inking category. I have the size set to about 15%. So let's just go ahead and zoom in a little here. And the first thing that we'll do is start our nose. So essentially it's going to be a triangle with a line underneath. So in the top of it will be flat. So let's just kind of start just kind of right here towards the bottom of his face. So let's just start in the middle and draw a line going outwards that's mostly flat like this, but not a perfect line or anything, and it's not perfectly horizontal. And then from that point here, let's draw back towards the middle to make kind of a triangular shape, and then fill in the rest with our pen. Smooth out parts of it if you need to. So that's the start, and then in the middle here, let's just draw pretty much right on the middle line and try to kind of taper it at the bottom so that it's thinner at the bottom and then kind of meets the nose nicely like that. If you can't get a nice thin taper at the end, you can use your eraser tool. I always have mine set to like the monoline brush, and then you can kind of go back in and do a little bit of erasing to make a nice tapered look to the little line there. And then back to our pen tool, and we will go over from our nose and down a little bit kind of in this area. Obviously, I'm kind of on the side of his face here. Again, we'll move it later, but this will be where the cheeks are, and I am just going to draw 3 little dots for the cheeks. And then from the nose, the corner of our nose will go up and to the right a little bit, and this will be where our eye starts. So first we're going to draw a curved line like this. And again, I kind of want it to taper on the edges. So I might grab my eraser tool again and go back in and just make them a little pointier. About like that. Then with our pen tool again, we will go inside this and draw another curved line going out like this, and this will be our eyeball. Fill that in. And then up and over from that a little bit, we are just going to draw a very small slanted line to be our eyebrow. Then on the same layer, we are going to select the 6th color on the last row of our color palette, the bright white, And now we are going to go in and add just a quick highlight to our nose and our eyes. So on the nose, I'm just going to make a little bit of a highlight right on the top. And then for our eyes, towards the middle, I am just going to make a little blob right there, and then another kind of small blob at the top. But something about like that just to give a little highlight and life to our face. And now we will move it. So let's click the arrow tool, make sure it's set to uniform. And first I am just going to downsize it a little bit. It's a little too big for my face. So I'm going to downsize it and then tilt it and then just kind of place it nicely, maybe about right there. If you need to move any of your pieces, you can use the selection tool on freehand and maybe select some pieces. So I'll like select the cheeks, maybe move them up a little bit. Maybe the eyes, I kind of want to be a little bit bigger, so I'll select them, increase their size, and then I'll use the selection tool again, turn it off, turn it back on, select just the right side now since that one went far away, and just kind of bring it back in and place it about right there. So make any adjustments to your face if you need to. And then I'm going to go up to my gear icon again and turn off the drawing guide so that I don't have to look at that line anymore. So now we can kind of see how it looks without it. And lastly, to kind of finish off our face, we are going to add some cheeks to our bunny's head. So we'll go back to our bunny head layer, the pink one here, go back to that, grab the 5th color on the 2nd row that we used for the inside of our ears. And we are going to go back to our short hair brush under the materials category. Set the size to maybe 30%, and just right around where our dots are, I am just going to make in kind of an oval motion, pretty lightly, make a little cheek area on each side. Try to make them similar in their size and density, but they don't have to be perfect by any means. Just about like that. And now we will move on and finish our picture by making the coat that our bunny is wearing and its bow. So let's first add the coat. We will add that right above our tree layer in the background. So underneath all of our bunny layers, we will grab the 1st color on the last row, and we will switch back to our dry ink brush under the inking category. We can increase the size to maybe 30%. And we're just going to start towards the right side of the bottom of his head here, not out too far, maybe about right here underneath its cheek. And just make a kind of line going down and curving down a little bit like that. So it gets a little thicker at the bottom and thinner at the top. Do the same thing on this side. And then fill it in. And I'm just going to fill it in with my brush so that we get a little bit of that good texture. Maybe thicken it up just a little bit on each side. About like that. And then we will add a layer on top of that. Grab the 2nd color on the last row. Same brush, and now we're going to make the little collar shape. So we'll start a little further outside on the right here. Again, underneath the bunny's head. Go down, making a kind of curved line like this. Only about this far. And then from here, we will go in and over in a slightly curved line as well, till we get towards the middle, and then we'll go back up, and then we'll fill in this whole little shape that we made. Like this. And then we'll do a similar thing on the other side, so we can even start here, go over in the middle a little bit, and start there. And then fill all that in. Like this. So make any adjustments again if you need to, if you want to make the regular body part bigger. We do need a nice gap in the middle of these for the buttons, so if you need to move any of them, you can. Maybe I'll use my selection tool, select around this side, make it just a little bit smaller to give myself some more space in the middle and just to kind of make them a little bit more even, my two sides. Something about like that. On this same layer with this same color, since we're above our back piece of the coat here, I am going to make the outlines for my buttons, the two sides. Let's drop the size of our brush to maybe 15%, and I am just going to start a little bit to the left of this right side one here. Make a little line like this, leave a good gap for our buttons, and then make another line like this. Then let's go to our layer menu, add a new layer, grab the third color on the last row, same brush at about 15%, and we are just going to make a couple buttons. I can probably just fit maybe two, so I'll just make a nice circular shape. I'm not holding my pen down or anything, I'm just kind of winging it, and then maybe one more here. It's okay if your buttons go off the screen even. Mine both fit nicely, but if yours went down off the screen, that's okay too. Then let's grab the fourth color on the last row, same brush, and we're just going to add just a little bit of a highlight to our buttons in kind of a curved motion, just on that same layer. Just pick the same section for each highlight that you do. I just picked the top right. So now I'll add the bow to the top of his head, and we are going to add that in between the ear and the head layer, so above the ears but below the head. We are going to grab the second color on the last row of our color palette, same dry ink brush at about 15%. And the first thing that we'll do is kind of make a little bit of a knot shape. So kind of a curved line and then going down and around behind our head. So it's like right on the top here in the middle. And then from there on each side here, I'm going to start a little bit down inside the knot and make a little bow shape and then just thicken it up nicely like so. And then do the same thing on the other side. And again, thicken it up nicely all the way around. Make any adjustments that you need to until you like the way your bow is looking. And then from here, we will also start a little line out of the bottom like this, a little squiggly line. Go down a little bit with your pen and then make another squiggly line back behind its head and fill that in as our little bow strand, and then do the same thing on the other side. Like this. Smooth out any areas that you need to, and once that is done, we are done with our drawing. So that is it. I hope you had fun. If you did, go ahead and give this video a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe if you'd like to see more tutorials from me in the future. If you would like to share your drawing on Instagram, I would love to see it, so go ahead and post it and then tag me so that I can check it out. While you're there, go ahead and give me a follow so that you can see what I'm working on next. Thanks for watching!